Thank you, Mr Speaker, and it is a pleasure to rise and speak on the taxation annual rates for 2015-16 Research and Development and Remedial Matters Bill. And as we confirm the annual rates, it is important to remember from the outset that the confirmation of tax rates includes the confirmation of the tax cuts that National brought in previously for the wealthiest New Zealanders. That tax package early on that brought 40% of the benefits to the wealthiest 10% of New Zealanders, over 40% actually, and the bottom 20% of earners got just 2%, most of which was swallowed up immediately in a GST increase which went against the Prime Minister's promise. And New Zealanders today are still paying as taxpayers in terms of service cuts and so on for those tax changes that the government brought in, and we are being asked here today to confirm those in the House. So it is with some reservation that we support this bill to first reading, to select committee, because we are a party on this side of the House that wants all New Zealanders to get ahead, not just the very few at the top. We note that median wages have been stubborn, that New Zealanders have not had real increases in their wages under this government, only a few at the top. In fact, many are worse off. Many of those small businesses that struggle day to day, where people risk their shirts, have gone under this government. There are fewer small businesses than there were under Labour. And we also know that with the ACC overcharging, that 350 million more of ACC burden is being borne by the business people of New Zealand than is strictly necessary. So we have reservations. We also have reservations, of course, because this bill is seeking to implement a range of new tax changes that will require IT adjustments. And we know that the IRD has struggled consistently and over time to implement tax changes. And in fact, there was of course a very embarrassing situation Mr Macleay found himself in as a new minister in Christmas 2013, announcing it when he'd hoped the press gallery had gone home to their Christmas turkey, announcing that there was going to be a postponement of the child support changes. And that will have been long after many families made adjustments to their personal circumstances, took on extra debt, maybe celebrated the fact that they had slightly smaller payments to make and brought their children some Christmas presents, or took on some lay-bys. And then they were told by Mr Macleay that the IRD was not going to be able to implement the policy. The Parliament was then forced to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars putting another bill through this House just to reverse out the changes for 1 year, to give the IRD time to try to implement the changes. So we have some reservations about the IRD's ability to implement the changes in this bill. In 2013, in fact, we had that change, but before that, in 2012, Valentine's Day, in fact, 2012, John Key made a romantic, perhaps a promise in the romantic rush of the day. He promised to get on to fixing that computer system. In 2012, John Key on Valentine's Day said we can't be held hostage to old technology, and we can't have the case where we can't implement new policy. Well, 3 years on, the Valentine's Days are flying by, and John Key has broken that promise, it seems. And today, or just recently, sir, we have learnt of more IT cost blowouts at the IRD. The implementation of the child support legislation has gone from the 30 million initially budgeted to now 163 million to implement the child support changes. This is a government that is playing fast and loose with taxpayers' cash. They're asking New Zealanders to tighten their belts, ordinary New Zealanders. They're asking those small business people to pay more ACC levies, to cope with more red tape, and all the while they're funding the tax cuts for the very wealthiest New Zealanders, while middle New Zealanders slipping behind and struggling. So we want this government to focus on the issues that matter to ordinary New Zealanders, on jobs that could be created if they weren't overcharging for ACC, on making sure that they do fair deals, not the Nova Pay debacle, not the corporate welfare handouts to Sky City to preserve their bottom line, but actually look after small businesses in New Zealand and ordinary New Zealanders and help them to get ahead, to get good jobs and decent wages.